The quiet return of Clara Ames. The golden afternoon sun filtered through the tall windows of the Harrington Conservatory, dancing across the polished hardwood floors and gleaming ivory keys. This was a place of legacy, of excellencia temple to classical music where only the most promising young artists trained. Each hallway echoed with ambition, violins whispering through scales, metronomes ticking like tiny hearts, and teachers' voices offering sharp critiques over complex passages. And yet, in the quiet corners of this revered institution moved Clara Ames. At 39, Clara carried herself with quiet purpose, her chestnut brown hair pinned in a modest twist and her blouse tucked neatly into a navy skirt that never drew attention. As the newest administrative assistant, she spent her days arranging sheet music, printing programs, and gently closing the lids of grand pianos left open too long. 6 weeks into her employment, she was known, if at all, as the quiet helper who never raised her voice and always kept her head down. Miss Ames, these pieces are arranged by chronology. They should be sorted by composer, snapped Dr. Evelyn Halbridge, head of the piano department. Her voice was clipped, British-tinged, and always 1 octave higher than civility required. Of course, Dr. Halbridge, Clara replied without pause, taking the bundle of music and reshuffling the pages with a practiced hand. The professor huffed and stalked away, the sharp clicks of her heels marking her departure. Clara didn't flinch. Her fingers continued working, but her eyes lingered a second too long on a particularly complicated list transcription. She traced the phrase with her thumb, as if remembering an old scar. Her hand twitched, barely visible, a ghost of emotion born from muscle memory. Daydreaming. Miss Ames? The amused voice of Professor Leonard Cromwell, head of composition, pulled her back. Clara offered a polite smile. Just getting these in order, Professor. He adjusted his crooked bow tie and peered at her over his glasses. You handle those pages like someone who's played them. I've picked up a few things over the years, she replied. He sniffed. Music isn't just paper and ink. It's blood and bone and training. Years of discipline. You can't fake it. With a condescending nod, he turned and left. Later that day, Clara found herself in the office of Madame Odette Chauvigny, the renowned French performance coach. The older woman, with her immaculate gray chignon and commanding posture, did not look up from her annotated papers when Clara knocked. Enter, came the imperious command. I've come to pick up the corrected program notes, Clara said gently. They are a disaster, Madame said without preamble. Fix them. The scholarship gala is tomorrow, and if I see another misplaced diacritic, I will have someone's head. Clara took the papers without a word, though she noticed that the original Auroran accent, Aigu, mistakenly added to a German name was Madame's own. Before leaving, her eyes flickered to the open piano near the window. The sheet music on the stand was familiar list transcription of Beethoven's Fifth. Will this be Theodore Lynn's piece for tomorrow? She asked. Madame Chauvigny arched an eyebrow. Yes. Why? It's ambitious, Clara said carefully. Theodore is our finest. He needs to be challenged, came the brisk reply. Not that it's any concern of yours. Clara nodded, murmuring an apology before exiting. The next morning, the grand lobby was abuzz. Faculty wore their finest suits and pearls, donors sipped espresso, and nervous students paced the side halls rehearsing final runs. Clara wore her best navy dress, hair braided into a simple crown. Her task was to keep things moving quietly in the background programs delivered, water fetched, emergencies averted. Backstage, however, wasn't calm. Students whispered and tuned their instruments. Theodore Lynn, the golden boy of the piano department, sat in a folding chair staring at his hands. Clara approached quietly. Are you all right? He looked up pale and dazed. I don't know. My hands, he held them up. They were shaking. They won't stop. Stage fright, she asked. I've never had it before. But I can't breathe. I can't feel my fingers. She knelt beside him. Close your eyes. Inhale for 4 counts. Exhale for 8. Her voice was soft, soothing. The numbness will pass. Nearby, The professors huddled in panic. "We need that performance, Dr." Halbridge hissed. "The sponsors are here to hear list." "There's no one else prepared for it," said Professor Cromwell, tugging his bow tie. "It's far too technical." A silence fell as Clara stood slowly. "I can play it." They turned as one. "Dr." Halbridge laughed. "Don't be ridiculous." "I'm not," Clara said, her voice firmer than any had heard before. "You're an assistant," Cromwell snapped. "A secretary." "I'm also Clara Ames," she said, "but that's not the name you'd recognize." Madame Chauvigny's eyes narrowed. She stepped closer, studying her. "Clara Ames," she whispered. "No, you're Clara Wexley." A beat of silence. Clara nodded once. The name crashed into the room like a cymbal. Wexley prodigy who had vanished after a devastating hand injury 5 years ago. The pianist who had filled concert halls across Europe and once played Rachmaninoff's Third Concerto with her eyes closed. "You're her," Halbridge breathed. "I am," Clara confirmed. They had no other option. Time was up. Clara walked onto the stage to scattered, uncertain applause. Many assumed she was filling time, a last-minute substitute meant to buy grace. She sat at the Steinway with reverence. Her fingers hovered above the keys, not yet touching them. Then silence shattered. The opening notes thundered through the hall, bold and defiant. The audience stilled. Notes poured from her hands like water from a broken dam fluid, unstoppable. There was no hesitance, no uncertainty. The complexity of Liszt's transcription, the soaring arpeggios, thundering octaves, intricate runs was reduced to grace under her command. Her performance was not merely technical. It was narrative, emotional, alive. Faculty members leaned forward, stunned. "She's transcendent," Cromwell murmured. "She's magnificent," whispered Madame Chauvigny, tears pooling behind her glasses. And when Clara reached the final resounding chords, she lifted her hands, holding the final moment suspended in air. Then silence. One beat. Two. Then an explosion of applause. The audience surged to their feet in waves. Even the donors, usually composed, clapped with abandon. Some cried. Others cheered, "Brava! Brava!" Backstage, Theodore watched with awe, his anxiety forgotten. Dr. Halbridge stumbled onto the stage, white-faced and breathless. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said, grasping the microphone, "you've just witnessed the triumphant return of Clara Wexley." A collective gasp. Clara stepped forward, cheeks flushed. "I came here hoping to quietly reconnect with music," she said. "But today, something more powerful happened. I remembered why I loved it in the first place." From the crowd, a voice called out, "Miss Wexley, I'm Harrison Bellamy of the Everhurst Foundation. We came here to fund talent. If you'll allow it, we'd like to sponsor a full masterclass series under your guidance." Halbridge, suddenly warm and eager, added, "The conservatory would be delighted to appoint Miss Wexley as our artist-in-residence." Clara gave a quiet smile. "Thank you." Cromwell approached her sheepishly. "I must apologize," he mumbled. "I misjudged you." "No," Clara said gently. "You just didn't look close enough." And as the crowd gathered to shake her hand and thank her, Clara caught Theodore watching from the side stage. He approached slowly. That was otherworldly. "You'll get there," Clara said. "But not if you play for applause. Play because it means something." "Will you teach me?" he asked. She smiled. "Gladly. But we'll begin with listening." 1 month later, the door to the new artist-in-residence office bore a polished brass plate, Clara Wexley. Her days were now filled with lessons, composition sessions, and slow walks across the conservatory halls where once she had been invisible. The students called her Professor Wexley, with awe, but to Clara, they were simply kindred spirits learning how to find their voice in a world often too loud to hear it. And every time a new student walked in, nervous and unsure, she remembered how it felt to start over. How silence could be broken with one brave chord. And how the most beautiful performances often came from those no one expected.